And we're joined on Thursdays by Rob Williams, the national sports editor of the Daily Hive and their Offside Sports Vertical, a.k.a. Rob the Hockey Guy on Twitter. How we doing, Rob?
Doing great, guys. I'm a little upset, though, because I'm not going to be able to buy my Blue Jays hat at the Mariners shop. I'm going to have to find one before I go down the I-5 here.
We noted that item earlier this week, that the M's team store was selling Blue Jays apparel. But, Rob, as I noted, I have bought Blue Jays apparel at the M's team store in the past. Like, this wasn't anything new. I mean, they're smart business people. Oh, they're smart business people at the team store. Yeah, no, Carmen bought a Vladdy Guerrero t-shirt there a few years ago. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we start there then, buddy? Because it is our Bodog poll question. Who are you most excited to see this weekend in Seattle? The Blue Jays, the Mariners, or Taylor Swift?
I am going down for the game, so I am excited to see the Blue Jays. I'm not a Swiftie, so I'm not excited to see that. But I don't. Maybe I'm losing touch, guys. But I had no idea that Taylor Swift was this big, like earth-shattering big, like. I don't know. This is
like $600 hotel rooms big. Yeah,
$1,000.
She's that big.
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked at the cheapest hotel room in Seattle for a story I wrote yesterday. Cheapest hotel in downtown Seattle on Saturday night is over $1,400 right now.
Wow.
God.
Wow.
That's
U.S. dollars?
That's Canadian dollars.
Okay.
That's Canadian dollars for one night in a modest 2.5-star hotel in Belltown in downtown Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a busy one at the border, I think.
This is one where I thank our friends here at the Wall Center for helping me out with accommodations in Seattle on Friday evening. What do you think the split is these days, Rob, in British Columbia in terms of Blue Jays, Mariners fans? We used to do polls way back when on TSN 1040. At best, I think it got to 50-50, was usually more 60-40 Blue Jays. But what do you think? And especially after last year's playoff series, where needless to say, the M's got over on the Blue Jays. In fact, I know some Blue Jays fans here in Vancouver who said, no, I'm skipping this year. I can't be in that stadium and hear all the taunts and teases about the Blue Jays breaking down in that playoff series last year and squandering a huge lead to the M's. But what do you think the split is, fan-wise, here in BC?
Well, I mean, you tell any trash-talking Mariners fans that the Toronto Blue Jays, count success by championships, not by series wins here.
Two-time,
right? Yeah,
Rob.
That's right.
Two-time, back-to-back.
That's right.
World Series.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating to me, like, who cheers for the Mariners and who cheers for the Blue Jays. You ask a Mariners fan in Vancouver how many Mariners fans there are in Vancouver, and I think they'll give you a pretty inflated number. I think this has changed, though. Like, from growing up in Vancouver, I remember, like, I cheered on the Jays when they won the World Series, but then I remember cheering on the Mariners when they made the playoffs in 1995 with Griffey and all that. And that was a big deal in Vancouver. Like, there were a lot of people in Vancouver cheering on the Mariners then, and I definitely I've seen it. I feel like it's gone down quite a bit, and I think the biggest reason for that now is we're less connected to Seattle by television than we used to be. Like, we used to, back in the days when you only got 30, 40 channels, and like 5 of them were Seattle local channels. You ended up watching a lot of Seattle television, and in those days, Mariners games were on, whatever they were,
periodically,
or King and whatnot. So you had a much stronger connection to Seattle by television. And of course, now it's just the exact opposite. There's almost no Mariners games on television. You're not spending time watching local Seattle television like you may have been doing in the past. And now every single game, every Blue Jays game is not only on Canadian television, but it leads every all sports channel, in the summertime. So I think now it's probably an 80-20 split. I think those who are Mariners fans, I think there's a high percentage of them are diehard fans. in Vancouver. Whereas there's probably a lot more people like myself I'm a Blue Jays fan, but like I'm not a diehard. I'm not watching every game on television or anything like that. So I think you find now a way bigger percentage of the casual fan is a Blue Jays fan now than a Mariners fan in Vancouver.
When you're down there, of course, and order your beer, it'll likely come in an aluminum bottle, which is often the case in U.S. facilities. Aluminum's coming to BC Place, only in a little different turn here. I'd never seen this south of the border. It's going to be aluminum, but they're beer cups, so they're still going to be pouring you a draft. This is for Whitecaps and Lions going forward. They say these are better recyclable options, I guess, than with a huge buildup of plastic.
That's right, yeah. So plastic cups for beer is going away at BC Place. So every sporting event I've ever been to in the Lower Mainland, if you get draft beer, it comes in a plastic cup. They've already introduced 24-ounce aluminum cups now at BC Place. So if you buy a beer at Whitecaps or Lions this weekend, one of the large ones, the 24-ounce cups, it'll be an aluminum cup. For now, the 12 ounces are going to be in a plastic cup, but apparently that's in the works now too. So pretty soon that'll be going away as well. And every time you buy a beer, it'll be in an aluminum cup. So I think there's a couple things there. One is it's better for the environment, and so it can be recycled over and over and over, apparently. But the other part is that it's going to keep your beer colder longer. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting twist too.
Could be a souvenir too, guys. Right? I mean, like you're not obliged to recycle. You can take it home. It looks like a decent little cup. So who knows?
It's got to be empty as you're leaving the stadium. But I know the Vancouver Canadian Nat Bailey Stadium has gone to cans this year. You can buy a can of beer at Nat Bailey Stadium. But I also know that our friend Andy Dunn has said if we have one incident with the cans, that'll be the end of the cans.
Right.
So behave accordingly. Rob, you wrote on Canucks backup goaltending this week. Pray tell.
Yeah, no, I think this is kind of flying a little under the radar right now. I think this is a very concerning spot for the Canucks. I think everyone has a lot of confidence in Thatcher Demko, but what if he gets fatigued? What if they overplay him? What if he gets injured again? I think the Canucks were probably doomed anyways last year, but the nail in the coffin in their season was when Demko went down with an injury. So what are they going to do next season? They haven't really addressed it. They signed a free agent, Sawchenko, who had worse numbers in the AHL last season than Seelovs or Martin. Is Spencer Martin, does he warrant another look as a backup? I mean, he's on the one-way contract, but to put all your eggs in that basket, I think that's taking a risk. I think Artur Seelovs, I think everyone hopes that he can translate his success from the World Championships into the NHL. But, this is a goaltender with really only, limited pro experience in North America. He probably, for his development, should be playing a majority of the games in the AHL. Are you just gonna hand him the keys to that backup job and just hope he runs with it? Now it's just the backup job, of course, but for a team like the Canucks, that's probably best case scenario is a borderline playoff team. If your backup isn't up to snuff, that could be the difference between making it or missing it.
You can't spend.
Jeff Patterson always says you need 10 to 12 wins out of that backup goaltender, right? Assuming your starter's going to give you 30 plus, then 10 to 12 wins out of that backup gives you a playoff team. So you're quite right, Rob. It's a very important position. I just think a lot of people here have confidence in Seelovs.
Well,
after the
not,
World,
not to mention the economics. I mean, you cannot add another salary. They've got a couple of guys here that they hope they can do the job. Let's face it, if Thatcher Demko is injured, the chances are they're missing the playoffs as a result of it anyway. I just think you can't afford to devote any more dollars to it. I think they have to roll the dice.
Yeah, I mean you're right on that. I think if you can sign another goaltender to the number that you can sign a goalie to is $1.15 million, because that's the maximum number of dollars you can bury a contract in the AHL. The guy I'm wondering about is maybe Martin Jones, maybe Alex Stalock. I know these are not guys that if Demko goes down for 3 months, you're doomed either way. I think you're quite right there. But at the same time, like it's also about, is Rick Tocchet going to have confidence in the backup that his backup can win them a game, or does he not, and ends up overplaying Demko, and then that leads to an injury? I think that's the part for me that warrants consideration. So, is Martin Jones or Alex Stalock, are they like surefire great backups for you? Maybe, maybe not. But I think if you add another guy there, and then maybe, that gives you another option to
Jones will give you a hometown discount too. So I think he would probably be a prime candidate for that kind of a contract late in his career. So yeah, that's a possibility.
The other thing I'm wondering about, Rob, is you still have a number of UFAs out there, either Pius Suter as a third-line center, Matt Dumba. We're still awaiting these big trades of Erik Karlsson, maybe the Calgary and Winnipeg guys. It has been a very slow-moving NHL summer, I think it's fair to say, in terms of player transactions. And I do wonder whether you're going to see some bargains in August or even in the last 10 days of July here. So I do wonder whether the Vancouver Canucks are going to take convene another roundtable here of all their pro scouts and say, okay, guys, we thought the summer would go this way, but here's what's happening, or here's what's not happening across the league. Are there opportunities there that we can take advantage of and improve the club?
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, like, once that calendar hits September, I feel like every free agent that doesn't have a contract starts to go, oh, crap, like, I better sign somewhere, right? And I think that's where like the Thomas Vanek deal the Canucks had a few years ago. I think you can see a few more of those around the league, and
probably not here with no cap space.
Well, but I also. Yeah, but I also wonder, like, are there opportunities on Besser? Are there opportunities on Garland, on Myers, where you can move money around and perhaps reconfigure certain elements of the club here? So, yeah.
And I do wonder, just in terms of, like, if you're signing someone to a really cheap deal, then maybe that allows you to put someone else in the minors, and maybe it's not like such a big add to your cap. And when it comes to those kinds of players, they're going to be looking for opportunities, right? Because they're going to be signing a one-year deal, and we're going to want to know, where can I go where my numbers are going to be looking good for next offseason, and I can maybe cash in. Third-line center, Vancouver's a pretty good spot. They've got a lot of scoring wingers, probably put up some points in that situation, and backup goalie. That the competition is not fierce for that job.
Marvelous stuff, Rob. Thank you for the time. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch up with you next Thursday.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Happy hour on Sekeres and Price. Today's beer of the day, Yellow Dog's Chase My Tail Pale Ale.